How could they? How could he? Sophie has always been an awful sister, but Charles? I thought he was better than this. What could he possibly see in her? Amelia's head was spinning at the thought of her ex-boyfriend, whom she still had feelings for, being intimate with her bratty half-sister. Charles tensed his shoulders as Sophie wrapped her arms around him with a playful smile dancing on her lips. He turned to her with a stringent look and steered her away from the PDA. Sophie, this is my work. I have to be professional. Sophie whispered not so quietly in his ear. Don't be so shy, babe. We're an official couple now. There's nothing to hide or be embarrassed about. It's not like anyone is watching us. Sophie pretended she hadn't seen Amelia, even though she inserted herself right between them when she arrived. Just then, her half-sister turned to her and feigned surprise. Ah! Oh my God, Amelia! I had no idea you'd be at this thing, Sophie exclaimed with a grin. She was utterly delighted by the look of hurt and confusion on Amelia's face as she registered her and Charles's relationship. With a mischievous glint in her eye, Sophie milked Amelia's discomfort. My ballet troupe is on hiatus, so surprise, I'm back in town, just like Charles here, she announced, her sugary words hiding venom. And we adore New York. Don't get me wrong, but there's no better feeling than coming home, you know? Well, I guess you wouldn't know since you've never left. Clearly uncomfortable himself, Charles snuck Amelia an apologetic glance. Amelia put her best foot forward and tried to seem happy about her sister's news. That's really great, Sophie. I'm sure Valentina is glad to have you back. Sophie sweetly took Amelia's hand. I'm sorry this is how you're finding out about me and Charles, sister. I had planned to ask you to dinner so I could share the news of our love sister to sister. But I guess fate had other plans. It brought us together here. All Amelia wanted was a hole to crawl into. She scanned her surroundings, searching for Faith or anyone who could save her, but her friend was nowhere to be found. Meanwhile, Sophie would not stop talking. God, I don't know who organized this event, but I'm finding it a bit dull. Oops, sorry, it wasn't you, Amelia, was it? Charles, sweetie, I'm in desperate need of caffeine. Would you mind? Charles happily took the opportunity to extract himself from the tense situation, and more importantly, to escape Sophie's clinginess. Sophie affectionately linked arms with Amelia. Let's chat, sis. Amelia stiffened. The moment Charles was no longer in Sophie's line of sight, her cheerful demeanor vanished. She released Amelia's arm and leaned in close. I saw the way you were looking at him, Sophie warned, her voice low but firm. It's pathetic. Really, that you're still holding on to that teenage crush you two once had? Amelia wasn't fazed by Sophie's two-faced behavior. She was very familiar with it. Amelia looked her sister in the eye with confidence and composure. When I spoke to Charles earlier, I didn't know you two were together, Sophie, she justified. Sophie wasn't done, though. You need to accept that Charles will never want you back, especially since, well, let's just say it's no secret you're damaged goods, she provoked. Amelia didn't let her get a rise out of her. Before you label me as the threat to your relationship with Charles, you should take a good, hard look at yourself first. It's only a matter of time before he sees through this fake, nice girl act of yours and down to your rotten core. Amelia spoke with an air of cool indifference. It's a shame, I had hoped that over time you'd grow out of these immature insecurities so we could build a real friendship as sisters. But this is just who you are, isn't it? Seething inside, Sophie failed to find the words for a clever comeback. Her efforts were cut short when Charles returned with her coffee. Sophie now understood there was nothing she could say to make Amelia come undone the way she wanted. So she tried something different. She set her coffee down on the bar, then suddenly pulled Charles into a passionate kiss, not knowing his boss was right behind them. Stop it, Sophie. What is wrong with you? Charles couldn't believe she pulled that stunt after he explicitly set a boundary against workplace PDA. He turned his back on her and walked off, leaving the sisters alone again in cold tension. Amelia couldn't comprehend why Sophie would stoop so low. You think you're hurting me, but you're actually hurting Charles. Why would you jeopardize his professional life like that? You haven't changed one bit, Sophie. Realizing that Amelia was right, Sophie regretted what she did. Her impulsive act could have a negative effect not only on Charles's job, but also on their relationship. But Sophie wasn't one to take responsibility for her actions. Who are you to talk about professionalism when you show up to a work event in a dress like that? Did you wear that today, hoping to steal my boyfriend? Or will anyone's boyfriend do, since you're clearly desperate? Fed up with Sophie's relentless attacks, Amelia decided to cross the line to put her in her place. Based on how jealous you're acting, I don't think I need a special dress to steal Charles. But you tell me, did he ever stop being mine? Amelia's words stabbed right in the center of Sophie's greatest insecurity, and a bomb of rage went off inside of her. She grabbed her steaming cup of coffee and dumped it on Amelia's chest. Amelia gasped when the scalding liquid splashed onto her chest and ran down the front of her gown, burning her skin. The crowd by the bar area fell silent, and shock enveloped the atmosphere as all eyes were drawn to the spectacle between the two women. On the outside, Amelia remained collected and did not retaliate, choosing not to make a scene in front of her colleagues. But inside, she gritted her teeth and was filled with alarm. The burn was intense, and her dress was now ruined. Amelia heard a commotion nearby and turned to see the prince advancing toward them with his staff trailing behind him like a shadow. Unbothered by the fact that she just assaulted her sister, Sophie's eyes lit up in anticipation, eager to greet the oncoming prince. As he reached her, she curtsied. Hello, Your Royal Highness, Prince Calderon. I'm Sophie Rivera. It's an honor to... Javier strode right past Sophie, ignoring her as if she were a ghost. She felt humiliated when he instead made a beeline for her sister. Amelia froze in her spot, unsure what was going on. Weren't they pretending to be strangers? The prince stopped before her and greeted her cordially. Good evening. His voice was smooth and strong. Javier then hooked a finger under Amelia's chin and slowly raised it until her eyes met his. His dark and piercing gaze bore into hers with a depth that was hard to read. Self-conscious about all the eyes on them, she felt the blood rush to her face. She cleared her throat. Good evening, Your Highness. Javier's eyes were so intense that they left Amelia breathless. She struggled to comprehend the unspoken emotions swirling within them. Amelia furrowed her brow in confusion. Her heart raced. Prince Calderon, what are you... He spoke coolly. Is everything okay? Amelia could feel her coworkers watching them. Yes, I'm fine. The air around them felt charged, heavy, with a mix of apprehension and curiosity as she tried to decipher the meaning behind his unwavering stare. He then trailed his gaze down her face, past the nape of her neck, and landed on her chest, where it lingered. This stirred a fluster within her that was difficult to contain. With all eyes on the interaction between the prince and the intern, Javier turned to Victor with a serious order.
Fetch me a doctor as soon as possible. This lovely lady is injured.
It was then that Amelia suddenly realized what this was all about. He saw her get burned by the coffee and came over to examine the angry red welts that had formed on her chest. As Victor hurried off, Javier's icy stare shifted to Sophie and seemed to freeze the air around her. Once Javier was gone, Sophie couldn't help but let the jealousy get the best of her, and she sniped at Amelia. You should wipe that hopeful look off your face, Amelia. What Prince Javier just showed you was a display of pity. There is no world where a man like that would have any interest in a nobody like you. Amelia rolled her eyes. Sophie had no idea how little she understood about the situation she witnessed. Sophie would probably combust if she ever were to learn that the prince was her nephew's father. But she couldn't share that. Instead, she just gave a retort. It seems the one interested in the prince here is you. Sophie was about to push back when the medic appeared and interrupted them.
Miss Rivera, Prince Calderon has requested that you come with me to receive immediate treatment for your wounds.
The medic stood, waiting for her to follow him. Meanwhile, Amelia got to see the storm of envy that surged within Sophie as she strode away with her head held high, trailing behind the medic. To find out what happens next, download the Pocket FM app in the next minute to get free access to all episodes of The Royal Accident for free.